Coronavirus has kept most of us social distancing. The outdoors is the new gym for many Clark County residents, and a lot of them are recreating right in the heart of the flood control system. Welcome to the Flood Channel. I'm your host, Jessie Acuna. From more vandalism to tax losses, coronavirus is having major impacts on our work. Business was proceeding as usual for the Regional Flood Control District until everything came to a grinding halt in mid-March. The office closed to visitors and non-essential staff were placed on leave. Essential workers telecommuted and began trying to assess the long-lasting economic impacts to our work. One small glimmer of light was that construction projects had already been funded in full and work proceeded with crews practicing social distancing. A project to install nearly a mile of storm drain under Boulder Highway is still proceeding on schedule. This $30 million project is being built by Harbor and will provide solutions to flooding along this heavy traffic corridor. Each project already approved for funding is proceeding, and each one not only puts people to work, it helps make another neighborhood more flood resilient. The district is funded by 1/4 cent of sales tax. And while the fiscal year had seen above average tax collections, it all ground to a halt in the second week of March. Already we've seen a 9% decrease in tax performance for that month, and steeper declines are anticipated for April and May. Planned projects can still come in for board approval and funding, and the district has authority to sell $85 million in bonds to cover more projects. It is likely a waiting list will be established until funding is available to begin projects. The board and district committees continue to meet virtually through June, as social distancing requirements prevented large in-person gatherings. The district historically has taken a conservative approach to budgeting. During the Great Recession of the early 2010s, flood control projects provided just about the only construction jobs. The district also remains ready to make presentations to school children. When schools closed in March, all of the scheduled visits were also canceled. Now the district is preparing to offer virtual presentations for when schools do reopen. During the quarantine this spring, many residents were shut out of their normal fitness routine and turned instead to nature. The district has noticed a sharp increase in trash along flood control channels and washes, and has also seen increased vandalism to equipment. Now that gyms are reopening and the weather is getting warmer, fewer people should be recreating in those areas not designed for them. And with casinos reopening in early June and Allegiant Stadium getting ready to host the National Football League, the economic recovery could be strong when it eventually starts happening.
The thing about garbage, you can throw it where you want. Storm drain, sidewalk, anywhere, as long as you don't get caught. If you throw a soda can, you never know where it might land. So throw your kids into the street, it's gonna end up in Lake Mead. Cigarette butts and plastic bags, gonna be hard to take a bath. Garbage. So throw your trash into the street, it's gonna end up in Lake Mead. That's groovy, yeah, that's groovy. What goes around comes around. Karma's coming to your town. Bad karma, yeah, bad karma.
We're here at Desert Breeze Park, where you can play soccer and enjoy a picnic right in a flood control facility. But with flash flood season here, it's a good reminder to stay out when it's raining. Another good way to stay protected is with flood insurance. Flash flood season is officially here. The summer monsoon brings increased chances for thunderstorms in the desert Southwest from July through September. While much progress has been made building flood control facilities, flooding is still possible in areas throughout the county. Weather can change dramatically, and some of the worst flash floods occur on days that begin bright and sunny. Last year, a neighborhood in Mountain's Edge flooded after intense rain over the Upper Duck Detention Basin led to runoff that was too strong for a temporary berm structure near Fitzwilliam Avenue. Developer KB Home has just finished a new reinforced berm for the neighborhood, just in time for flash flood season. Runoff from the basin should now be channeled into the existing storm drain facility nearby without impacting the neighborhood. However, if you live near a named wash or have seen flooding in your neighborhood, it may be wise to consider flood insurance. FEMA oversees the National Flood Insurance Program. Here's how FEMA explains the types of flood insurance available.
You know flood insurance can help you recover from the financial consequences of flooding. But what do you need to know about flood insurance coverage? How do you know if you should purchase coverage for your structure, the contents of your home, or both? Like all insurance, flood insurance doesn't cover all items that could be damaged from a flood, so it's good to ask lots of questions. Coverage for your building is designed to pay for the necessary repair or replacement of flood-damaged structural components. For example, walls, floors, heating and cooling systems, large appliances, cabinets, and/or attached bookcases. The maximum building property coverage you can purchase is $250,000. Flood insurance contents coverage protects your personal property, such as clothing, furniture, small appliances, bedding, and other items in the home. The maximum contents coverage you can purchase is $100,000. To better understand how claims are paid, ask your agent to go over what is and what is not covered, and discuss how your insurer estimates the value of your property. For example, you will have limited building and personal contents coverage for your basement and for enclosures below some elevated buildings. This is an important topic to discuss with your insurer. For a complete list of what is covered and not covered by flood insurance policies, or for more information on the different types of policies available through the National Flood Insurance Program, visit floodsmart.gov or call your insurance agent today.
Flood insurance policies take 30 days to take effect. So if you want protection this flash flood season, the time to act is now. Since so many of us have taken to the outdoors, it's important to realize we're not the only ones on the trails. The district works to protect wildlife impacted by our construction, including some of the cutest birds around. If you've been hiking around the outskirts of Las Vegas, chances are you've come within a few meters of an animal's home. Sometimes there's an obvious burrow, but animals also take shelter in PVC pipe and other man-made objects designed to specifically keep them safe.
This is an artificial burrow that was constructed to replace a burrow that was maybe taken during construction of the detention basin here. They constructed a series of these to replace burrows that were taken and to replace habitat for the burrowing owl. As you can see here, it's being used. There's some whitewash, there's evidence of pellets, there's some feathers in here as well. So these are definitely a success story of owls being let back into their natural habitat.
Anytime the district builds flood control, it can disrupt habitat for burrowing owls or desert tortoise, both of which are offered federal species protections. We have to take steps to mitigate our impacts, and that's where Newfields comes in. Butsevich is an environmental scientist working with tortoise and other local species.
I manage multiple projects in multiple different phases, from conception to post-construction monitoring, so I will make sure that basically our clients and the proponents of these projects are following through on their promises to the agencies that they made promises to. Every project in every stage of development has a tendency to need to meet compliance needs. So it depends on the landowner, it depends on the permit, it depends on what stage of development they're in. But they will have to make promises and comply to these promises throughout construction, whether it's initial clearances for desert tortoises or it's through vegetation monitoring, you know, at the end of construction to make sure that a wetland is self-sufficient on its own.
At Floydland Park in northwest Las Vegas, evidence of owl life is everywhere from trail signs to nesting areas just off the path.
An owl will really use any burrow that it can fit inside. It doesn't really care who made it, whether it was a canid, a coyote, a kit fox, or if it was a desert tortoise. They'll really get inside anything artificial or natural that they can fit inside.
U.S. Fish and Wildlife created 7 artificial burrows here, and Butsevich hikes right to one to look for evidence of use. On a recent trip, he found owl pellets and baby feathers.
It lets me know that they're in here and they're thriving, and some of the feathers showing that they're reproducing in here. So yes, they're back in here and they've repopulated this area. It goes back to habitat. You know, as the valley grows, we're removing habitat. So we're seeing them, you know, throughout the valley, but primarily on the edges. And there's no real number. I don't think anyone's out here counting owls, but they're out here. And what we're finding too is that a lot of these owls aren't leaving. They love Las Vegas as much as you and I, and they don't want to leave. So they're staying year round, and they're thriving here in the valley.
If a tortoise is found on a construction site, work stops and the county's Desert Tortoise Hotline is called to relocate the animal. The tortoise is covered under the Endangered Species Act. Burrowing owls are covered under the Migratory Bird Act, another federal provision designed to protect nesting habitat.
You know, if we do our job, hopefully nothing becomes listed. I think if we're all good citizens and we all do our best to help the environment around us, then maybe we can slow down what gets on the endangered species list.
If you use any of our parks, trails, or facilities that are part of our flood control system, remember to stay away when it's raining. The best way to keep tabs on this weather is from our website, regionalflood.org, or on social media channels @regionalflood.